Hi, thanks for coming back to my second video in this series about horror movies, a subject that is near and dear to my heart. This episode number 2 is about why we either like horror movies or why we don't. A really big part of the appeal of horror movies is how we feel after the fact, after the film is over. When we're watching a horror movie, no matter what we see up on that screen, no matter how terrifying that is and how deep that fear strikes, we know in the end, it's just a movie. We're not like having our brains eaten out of our heads or whatever. Once we know that everything is okay and we've had all of these crazy emotions of fear, tension, whatever it is that's built up in this 90 minutes, all this like terror stimulation, once that happens and we get to the emotional release, we have that moment of catharsis. All of a sudden they go whoosh, rushing out. That right there is pleasure stimulating in the brain, and it's that rush that people really keep coming back to. On the flip side of that, if all you get is all the extreme negative emotions, why on earth would you come back for more? If you're not getting something pleasurable out of the experience, you're not going to care to repeat the experience. The reasons that I personally like horror movies and why I keep coming back, even though, yes, they do actually still scare me. Ghost movies still scare the crap out of me. I get that buzz of adrenaline, that rush from the fear, and then the ultimate release when my brain realizes that it's all not real and I'm totally safe. I also just like the suggestion that there's more to the world than, meets the eye. That all of these fantastical things are possible. Maybe there are other worlds. Maybe ghosts are real. Maybe there are things out there that we haven't found that are unexplained, and the possibilities of our universe are just, kind of endless. And I'm going to use that to segue into my next part of this little video. Let us go to the movies that I watched. Ty West's House of the Devil and Roman Polanski's 1965 classic Repulsion. I picked both of these because I felt like they were pretty good examples of not just horror movies, but also the psychology of why are we watching them. I'm gonna try to avoid major spoilers here, just kind of do a cursory once over of what's happening. Repulsion is a lot about sexual identity and desire, but it's also a lot about alienation and isolation. What's it about this film in particular that really gets at the crazy? And going from that, what is it about this film that makes it so enjoyable for an audience to watch? It's actually a pretty challenging film in that regard. It's asking us to watch this young woman just devolve into states of madness. What was most unsettling about this film is really her. It also plays around a lot with the idea of how she's viewed and how men look at her and how that contributes to her breakdown. The dark things that lurk in our minds, because sometimes it's not an external threat. Sometimes the threat to us is totally of our own making. Don't ask me about the dead-skinned rabbit. I don't want to think too much about that one, or the symbolism there. The second film I chose to watch is Ty West's House of the Devil from 2009. So while House of the Devil is clearly a throwback to the horror films of the 80s, it's actually, with its atmosphere and tone and pacing, much more reminiscent of films like Polanski's. Similar feel, a similar slow burn horror movie. That's one thing that Ty West does really well in this, is he builds the anticipation and the dread. While he gives a lot of warning signs to Samantha, creepy guy on the phone, scary house in the middle of nowhere, beardy dude delivering pizza, we as an audience have seen more. We get glimpses of other things that she doesn't know, and so we know that no amount of money she's getting is worth it for her to stay in this house. So watching her then stay there, it's incredibly tense. Even though the story's over and the movie's over, I'm kind of left with this tense feeling in my gut. It's one of those movies that gives me that feeling afterwards, which little nerve-wracking, makes me a little twitchy. But that's okay. That's why I go to these movies. So yeah, House of the Devil, liked it. Repulsion, also liked it a lot, recommend them both. For some other films that explore the same kind of themes, sexuality and alienation and that sort of stuff, Darren Aronofsky with Black Swan actually is a great example. Another one of my favorites is May by Lucky McKee, which, man, I've seen May many, many times, but when I was watching Repulsion, I was just like, wow. Did, McKee use this as sort of his textbook to build from? So yeah, I recommend that one. And then, of course, the film that both of these references and is clearly an influence on many, many filmmakers is Psycho by Alfred Hitchcock. Leave some comments, let me know what you think, and what should I talk about next time? I've got a bunch of ideas of different topics, but if there's anything in particular that you think I should address, or movies that you want me to watch, love suggestions. Yeah, thanks for watching again. Check out my first video if you haven't had a chance to watch that yet, and if you like all this and want me to continue, subscribe to the channel, which is a great way for me to keep on going. You can like this video if you like it. Thanks for coming back, and I will see you next time at the movies. At the scary movies.